The certified letter landed on my kitchen island with a sickening thud, instantly dissolving the peaceful Sunday morning quiet. $140,000. Seriously? They were trying to fine me $140,000 for what they called flagrant encroachment on common area property. And for a moment, I actually thought I might throw up the perfectly innocent bagel I was eating. This wasn't just a petty squabble over a misplaced garden gnome. This was war, orchestrated by the notorious queen of Birch Valley herself, Brenda Peterson, the Homeowners Association president. How could they possibly justify that amount? The alleged violation was a 5-foot retaining wall I'd built to stabilize my hillside garden. A wall that, according to Brenda's aggressive, legally dense document, had been constructed entirely on the private land owned by the Homeowners Association. My pulse hammered against my temples as I reread the lines demanding $1,000 per day until the illegal structure was removed. I could feel the blood draining from my face. This was a level of Karen that transcended mere entitlement. It was straight-up extortion. I spent the next 48 hours in a fog of pure, white-hot fury, the scent of burned coffee constantly in the air as I pulled all-nighters, poring over my closing documents. My wife, Sarah, kept rubbing my shoulders, whispering, "It'll be okay, Leo. Just breathe." But how could I breathe when they were trying to steal our retirement fund over a pile of decorative stone? When the inevitable enforcement hearing arrived on Tuesday evening, the air in the Homeowners Association clubhouse felt dry and thick, smelling vaguely of stale carpet and passive aggression. Brenda, perched at the head of the polished oak table, wore a smile so tight it looked painful, like she'd already tasted victory. The board, 3 meek, uncomfortable neighbors, sat beside her, clearly just background actors in her one-woman show. "Mr. Vance," she began, her voice dripping with the sort of condescension usually reserved for explaining basic arithmetic to a toddler. "We are disappointed to see you proceed without compliance. The survey data is clear." She tapped a manicured finger on a glossy map where a red line was aggressively drawn through my beautiful hand-laid stonework. "Disappointed?" I shot back, gripping my chair arms so hard my knuckles turned white. "You've issued a fine that equals half the mortgage on my house. We're talking about 6 inches of disputed soil here." Brenda merely sighed. A dramatic, practiced exhale meant to convey her profound exhaustion with my peasant-like dramatics. 6 inches, Mr. Vance, that our landscaping crew can no longer access to maintain the common hydrangeas. And that 6 inches, as defined by our legal team, is part of the association's jurisdiction. The fines stand. Her eyes, cold and blue, dared me to challenge her authority. Was she untouchable? That moment of doubt was a crushing weight in my chest. I took a deep, shaky breath, the rhythmic hum of the ancient air conditioning unit suddenly seeming deafening. I thought about the hours I'd spent hauling those stones, the sweat, the ache in my lower back, and how this self-appointed tyrant was trying to erase it all with a signature. My fight shifted from saving money to saving my sanity, and maybe, just maybe, restoring some cosmic balance to Birch Valley. I stood up, my heart beating like a trapped bird. "I formally dispute the entire claim," I announced, my voice cracking slightly, "and I'm requesting the original, notarized subdivision map from 1998, signed by the City Planning Commission and the original developer." Brenda scoffed, a quick, dismissive sound that was like a verbal eye roll. "We have the current master plan, Mr. Vance. That is sufficient." "No," I insisted, leaning over the table, my voice gaining strength. "That map shows the intended subdivision. I want the as-built plan and the deed of dedication for the supposed common area strip adjacent to Lot 17. Mine." She hesitated, a tiny, almost imperceptible tremor running through her hand as she reached for her water glass. That small flicker, that was the first hint of fear I'd seen. I had a feeling, a deep, gut-wrenching feeling that smelled exactly like the musty stack of decades-old blueprints I'd spent days tracking down in the municipal archives, that I was onto something big. A week later, I was back, and this time I wasn't shaking. The second hearing was scheduled for a Monday, and the mood was colder, more formal. Brenda looked sharper, her power suit crisper, but the tension in the room was palpable, like electricity before a storm. I laid out my documents, my current survey, conducted by an independent firm, and the original 1998 plat map. "Madam President," I stated, placing my finger on a specific faded line on the old map. "Your claim is that my retaining wall encroaches on a 5-foot strip of common area, correct?" "Absolutely," she affirmed, a triumphant smirk returning. "Well," I said, my voice now smooth and steady, "my new survey, based on the original pins and legal description, confirms the wall is indeed built 6 inches over the line indicated on your current Homeowners Association master plan." The board members shifted uncomfortably. Brenda smiled. "Then the fine is justified." I shook my head slowly, letting the silence hang heavy for an agonizing count of 3. "Not quite, because if we follow the original 1998 deed of dedication, the one signed by the developer and the city, that 5-foot strip of land was never officially dedicated to the Homeowners Association as common area." Gasp. It was a quiet little sound from one of the board members, but it felt like a thunderclap. I continued, my voice building to a powerful crescendo. "It appears the developer's office, or perhaps a subsequent surveyor hired by the Homeowners Association 20 years ago, simply assumed that land was part of the common property when they drew the current map. But legally, that 5-foot strip, every single foot of it, has always been included in the legal description and acreage of my property, Lot 17, from the moment the development was platted." Brenda's face went from smug certainty to an ashy shade of gray. The air suddenly smelled like ozone. "Are you implying," she stammered, scrambling for control, "that the association has been maintaining your private property for 2 decades? "Oh, it gets better," I said, picking up a photograph. This was the moment for the secondary twist, the taste of delicious karma. "If that 5-foot strip is legally mine, that means the Homeowners Association didn't just mistakenly claim my land. They built their infrastructure on it." I slid the photo across the table, a close-up, professionally marked image of the association's main entrance sign, a massive granite monument proudly declaring, "Welcome to Birch Valley." "You see this corner, Brenda? This corner of the sign's concrete footing? According to the 1998 plat map and my new survey, that footing is built 18 inches into my legal property boundary." I paused, letting the implications sink in. "So, I believe the $140,000 fine for my illegal retaining wall is now null and void, as I was simply building on my own land." I leaned in, my gaze locking onto her terrified eyes. "And now, I have to ask you, since the foundation of your main entrance sign is encroaching on my private property, who is going to pay me $1,000 a day to have it removed?" The sheer audacity, the poetic justice of the situation, felt like pure, unadulterated relief washing over me. Brenda tried to speak, but only a dry, rattling noise escaped her throat. The board chairman quickly called an emergency recess. The crushing weight of the past 2 weeks lifted instantly, replaced by a buoyant, defiant confidence. The fine was officially dropped the next morning, and Brenda Peterson resigned 2 weeks later, an ignominious end to her reign of terror. Never let a bully with a clipboard and a fancy title tell you what's yours. When they try to claim your ground, stand firm, bring the receipts, and prove that sometimes the biggest encroachers are the ones who think they're above the law. Justice isn't just served cold. Sometimes it comes with a $140,000 counterclaim.